Lapsus has been on a tear. Big game hunting. Samsung, NVIDIA, Okta, maybe Microsoft. We're going to talk about big hacks on today's Not So Critical Update. Go!
Like the intro, Mike. That was amazing. Yeah, Lapsus have been on, like you say, on a tear. Jesus Christ. There's no one they won't take down, or, well, you know, at least a little bit. Microsoft has confirmed, by the way. They have admitted it. And so was Okta. They have indeed, yeah. Okta was the other one. 2.5% of their customers. Which,
hundreds of
as
customers
Mike pointed out,
for an authorization company.
300. Here's, I've got to give credit to Bleeping Computer here, because they, on Twitter,
we love Bleeping.
I mean, yeah, we do love Bleeping Computer. Shout out, Bleeping, Bleep forever with the Bleep Squad. Yeah, they predicted that it was around 375 customers, and the actual number was 363. And they were
like, guessing how many jelly beans were in a jar. Or how did they do that?
No way. Okay, this is what I cannot give you credit for Googling the total number of customers reported in 2021. Saying, okay, let's take 2.5% out of that, and it comes out to 360 whatever. Like,
no,
this is
John, this is Bleeping Computer research. Let's cut them a break.
Sorry. Love the guys.
They did, but they did They did more research than everybody else. Everybody else was saying around 400.
Yeah,
and they were closer. They got more. They're closer to the number of jelly beans.
So they actually won the prize of accurately reporting for once. I mean, always.
At any rate,
now, John. Now. That's.
So what do we find more interesting, the Okta hack in itself, or the spectrum now of big attacks that Lapsus has had recently?
I'm super impressed. Like, I know we shouldn't, and this is bad. These are, bad actors or whatever, but like, they are sparing nobody. They are coming at every big conglomerate. They don't give a shit how or who. And I don't know if you guys saw that tweet where Lapsus they tweeted basically saying, or in a their Telegram group, they're like, if you work or contract for any of the big names, we'll pay you, get us a VM connected to their main network. That's all they need. And
they're celebrities now. They're a celebrity group. They're like, people are going to be like, hey, I think I'm going to help them out. Like, I think they're going to get people sign up.
Especially with
they don't care. They don't care about customer data. They don't give a shit about customer data.
They were the ones that came up with the demands for NVIDIA to open source the driver.
They're like amazing. Just open source it.
So I was confused by that, because part of their statement was that they're in it for their money. They're not in it for anything else. What's the financial incentive for releasing the open source code? That felt like a contradiction.
This was
crypto
probably
mining.
Just a stance. It was, and also correct, Peter, crypto mining. By removing light hash rate limiters, you can triple your output from NVIDIA cards, at least double.
How would one go about doing that, John?
I'll
follow up with you later. It's fine. Just
legitimately,
sure.
Anyway, super cool. Yeah.
Back to your question, Mike. Which am I most impressed by? Definitely most impressed by Lapsus. And you're right. They're not holding back, and they're not everybody's fair game. Basically,
why hasn't this happened before? Do we just like lose it in the noise? This seems like a spate of high-profile attacks, very back to back. They make it look easy.
I was going to pimp our Discord. You cut me off before I
Discord, yeah.
As we discussed on Discord, which everybody should totally join. There's a link on our Twitter account, and probably
in the description of this video. You should join Discord.
The description of this video, which Mike may forget to add, but anyway, we talked about like, Facebook and Google next, and then someone commented, but that's where I store my data. I'm like, you know what, Jesus, I'm kind of joking about them. It'd be great to see Facebook taken down, and then I'm like, hang on. What have I got on Facebook that I don't want anybody to see? What have I got on Google hosted that I don't want it leaked to the world? So we could actually be victims here. It could come back on us.
I feel like more generally, though, we probably have to be careful of rooting for companies to get hacked. Like, yes, we want Facebook to suffer for the suffering they inflict upon us, but we're not trying to call for any illegal activity or for anybody to be harmed or anything.
Oh yeah, and Lapsus, I know you guys are watching, but we don't. None of us want to get hacked. It's Please don't.
Let us be clear.
But they made, okay, but yes, yeah. So they've made the statement they don't care about us, right? Obviously, big fans of the show, but they don't care about us individually. Yeah. They care about these conglomerates who it almost, I don't want to say it's a political thing, but it seems like it's an ideological thing at this point. Well, sure, they can make money while doing it. Just saying open source everything to NVIDIA, what a statement. Because they could have very well said to NVIDIA, pay us $20 billion, or obviously not that amount, but you know what I mean. And instead they're like, open source your shit, which is, and then they just leaked the Cortana code, the Bing code. It's not like they ransomed it; they just leaked it.
But that's fine because Microsoft's financial security isn't based on whether their source code is public or not. I thought you knew that, John. Come on,
right?
You heard that statement from Microsoft? That was their kind of response.
No, that was not their response.
They were like, we don't care. It's cool. Our something like financial security isn't based on whether our source code is public or open or not. Something like that.
Well, good for them.
I guess. Yeah. But like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Here's my theory, right? I think the reason it hasn't happened before, because that's an interesting question. I think the reason it hasn't happened before is because the bigger targets are harder to hack. That's it. So to make as a business, if you focus on the easier targets, you can get maybe a smaller amount of money out of. It's just you're going to make more money.
Which is what I would have assumed, that the bigger targets are harder to hack. So is Lapsus just that much better than anyone else? Are they like the Michael Jordan of hacking? And
I think we're underestimating inside actors.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Can we tie this to the work reform movement? Is this like people are just pissed off at their
Honestly, listen, if you're working for a shit micromanager at Microsoft who's working you to the bone, you're making good money, sure, but not life-changing money, and you grow to hate your employer, but you can't leave, golden handcuffs, whatever, and then Lapsus comes in and they're like, you want $500,000? Literally spin up a VM internally.
I was wondering about this, right? So a lot of these have been because of insider leaks, insider, not trading information, whatever, insiders. And I was thinking, my prediction for this year was a big password manager leak, like LastPass or Keybase or not Keybase, sorry, or Google password sync or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there someone with the golden keys, with the master key that can kind of go in, who's a very trusted person that could decrypt all my stored passwords in Google password sync? Like, is that technically possible, or is it some weird combination of like
a movie about that?
Like you have to have a key ceremony, or there's like 8 different authentication methods. But is there a way to do that? Because somehow it works.
I don't think that's how it. Shit, Google specifically. So okay, if we use LastPass or any other competitor, Warden, whatever. The way they designed their password managers is that they actually never touch the private keys, right? Some is even not stored on their servers. LastPass, I believe, is a bad example. They literally store it on their servers, but others don't. Others just do not store it. Others you could self-host, or it's device-based. And you're kind of the biggest. You're the biggest weakness. But with Google,
default syncing is without a password. You can have a master password which does a sort of encryption, but
so who's the root owner of the password sync? Is it your browser? Is that where it's hosted? Is it hosted locally in your browser? Your browser syncs to your phone or to another? Where does it live?
So what's the risk you're getting at, Peter? What's the business case here?
What's the business case?
Well, like there's a technical question of such a key. Does such a key exist? Okay, what if it does?
Google view all of our passwords?
The unencrypted ones, which I think are the vast majority of them. Most people don't bother setting a master password for their password syncs. They just don't. It's a checkbox, sync everything. Okay, bookmarks and passwords are there. And I log in somewhere else and I have my password. Great, I can log in. Nobody bothers actually ensuring it. That means that it is stored unencrypted on Google servers. Is there someone who could go in and just look at them all somehow?
Well, I imagine the blob of passwords is encrypted, Peter, right? Like I log into a new browser.
Right.
Definitely decrypts from Google servers, syncs. and now it's unencrypted on my device. Because we all know how easy it is to just export an JSON file of passwords. Like that's not
okay. So you think it's encrypted on Google servers, and that they don't have access to that. There's no master.
That I didn't say.
Okay.
So tie this back to Lapsus.
That would be an interesting target.
Tie back to Lapsus. Is there someone that Lapsus could get that would allow them access to all those billions of passwords?
That would change the world.
It would be juicy.
We're talking about banking of like every internet user.
Yeah.
But whoever that person is, well, I guess, I don't know. It could be an engineer on the network that has access to that project.
It could be many engineers. It could be a whole team. It could be anyone.
That's what I'm saying. Is it someone like the CEO? If it has to be like,
right?
I don't know, Larry Page or something or whatever.
Sure.
If he sells out to Lapsus, then he's probably got other. Google has other
issues, right?
So there's 2 points, right? Is it technically possible, right? Is there one person? Yeah. If it is technically possible, then it doesn't have to be that person. It could be someone who compromises that person's account, or his secretary, or his PA, or whatever. Someone who's got authority.
Oh, I got a good question. What happens if I die and my significant other wants access to my passwords from Google?
I'm curious because there might actually be. This is probably something that has been considered, and there might be some technical limitations in case, like, it's encrypted on the servers. Is not. We never actually see the plain
text. You can only decrypt X per day or whatever.
Yeah, it implies some kind of encryption implies decryption. Hashing does not imply decryption.
Right.
So I know that it could be encrypted on the servers and it comes back, but I don't know that they have access to my passwords. So, and they know what my master password is because that maybe is stored hashed. I'm just be curious to know the details.
So keep your employees
that would
happy.
Be interesting.
Have good security policies.
Yeah.
Don't piss off Lapsus.
And don't piss off Lapsus.